They called him too small, too light, too graceful. They said ballet dancers don't belong in football. They said he wasn't built for the NFL. Until he took flight. January 18th, 1976, Super Bowl X. The eyes of America were on the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. The moment was tense. The ball was in the air. And the receiver, who was never supposed to make it this far, did something that defied logic and gravity. He didn't just catch the football. He floated, twisted, acrobatically controlled his body in midair, while millions watched in disbelief. It wasn't just a catch. It was a moment that made him immortal. From being too small to be a star, to making the greatest Super Bowl catch ever. Lynn Swann became more than a receiver. He became football's most elegant legend. Welcome to Black and Gold Legacy, where we don't just tell stories. We bring forgotten moments, lost legends, and football magic back to life. If you believe some stories deserve to be remembered, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, so you never miss a journey into Steelers history. Early life, when size wasn't on his side. Lynn Swann was not born with the physical traits of a typical football star. No towering height, no intimidating build, no raw power that would make coaches turn their heads. He grew up in Alcoa, Tennessee, and later moved to San Mateo, California, where life was simple but competitive. He loved sports, but unlike other kids, he didn't rely on strength or size. He relied on movements, balance, precision, and coordination. From an early age, Swann showed signs of something people didn't quite understand. He didn't run like other kids. He glided. He didn't jump violently. He floated. And when he caught the football, it looked less like force and more like art. One day, he discovered something unusual for a future NFL player: dance and ballet. Most boys his age wouldn't even consider it. Some laughed at him. But Lynn Swann wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was trying to improve. Ballet gave him balance, flexibility, timing, body control, and elegant movement, all traits that would one day make him one of the most graceful athletes in NFL history. He would later say, "Football is about body control. Ballet taught me how to control every movement." While other kids pushed weights and tried to prove their toughness, Swann focused on grace, precision, and timing. Little did anyone know, that would become his secret weapon. Even in high school, he wasn't the biggest or strongest, but coaches noticed something special. He had a way of positioning his body at the exact right time. He tracked the ball differently. He absorbed hits and still stayed upright. He made catches that seemed impossible, but he made them look effortless. He wasn't built like a football star, but he moved like one, long before the world noticed. USC glory, the rise of the unexpected star. When Lynn Swann arrived at USC, University of Southern California, he wasn't the most hyped recruit. He wasn't seen as a future NFL star, nor was he expected to be the next great college receiver. But USC was a school of champions, and champions don't always come in the biggest or strongest forms. What coaches quickly discovered was that Swann didn't play receiver like everyone else. He played it like an artist. While other receivers relied on speed or physical strength, Swann relied on precision, footwork, body control, timing, and grace. He ran routes like they were choreographed, clean, sharp, and calculated. He wasn't fast, but he always got open. He wasn't big, but he never got pushed off his routes. He wasn't powerful, but he made complex catches look effortless. Teammates began calling him the air dancer. Because he didn't jump, he lifted off. When the ball arrived, Swann wasn't fighting gravity. He was floating through it. Under legendary coaches John McKay and tailback used championship culture, Swann's playmaking became impossible to ignore. He wasn't just catching passes. He was making highlight moments. By the early 1970s, USC had become a powerhouse. And in the 1972 national championship season, Swann became a vital weapon in one of the greatest college football teams ever assembled. He didn't lead the team in stats, but that was never his strength. He led them in big plays. When the team needed a spark, Swann provided it. When they needed a crucial third down, he found a way to get open. And soon, he became known not just for making catches, but for making beautiful catches. Swann finished his USC career as an All-American, helping the Trojans win a national championship, and earning the reputation of being one of the most graceful and clutch wide receivers in college football. He wasn't just a receiver. He was different, and the NFL was about to find out. Draft day and joining the dynasty. One of the greatest drafts in NFL history, not just for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but in all of football. The Steelers were already building something special. They had legends like Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, Joe Green, Jack Lambert, and Mel Blount. But there was still something missing. A wide receiver who could do the impossible. When the Steelers made their first-round pick, they chose a name that surprised many analysts. Lynn Swann, wide receiver, USC. Commentators questioned the decision. He wasn't big, not the fastest, and not the strongest. Some even said he was a luxury pick. Too graceful, too polished, but maybe too soft for the NFL. But Steelers head coach Chuck Noll saw something others didn't. He didn't just see a receiver. He saw a weapon. Someone who could make impossible plays. Someone who could tilt games not with power, but with beauty. As soon as Swann arrived at Steelers training camp, teammates noticed his difference. He didn't run routes, he sculpted them. He didn't catch passes, he painted moments. Joe Green once said, he practiced like an artist preparing for a masterpiece. The field was his canvas. And in a team full of gritty, bruising tough guys, Lynn Swann brought elegance to chaos. He wasn't physically intimidating, but he was a nightmare to defend. His timing, footwork, and balance made defenders miss without him even trying. By the end of his rookie season, one thing was clear. He may not have looked like the traditional Steelers player, but he was exactly what the dynasty needed. And then came 1975, the year Lynn Swann changed the Super Bowl. Forever. Super Bowl 10, the catch that changed everything. January 18th, 1976, Super Bowl 10, Miami, Florida. Pittsburgh Steelers versus Dallas Cowboys. Two giants. One championship. One moment that would live forever. The Cowboys were confident. Their defense was fast, physical, and determined to shut down the elegant receiver in black and gold, Lynn Swann. But that night, Swann wasn't just a receiver. He was a show. An athlete doing things people had never seen before, not in football. Early in the game, Terry Bradshaw launched a deep pass down the right sideline. Swann leapt not once, but twice, twisting midair like a gymnast, losing balance, regaining it. Then impossibly, he caught the ball while falling sideways, his body floating as if gravity didn't apply. It wasn't just a catch. It was poetry. It was ballet in shoulder pads. Commentator Pat Summerall couldn't hold back. I don't believe what I just saw. And neither could millions watching at home. That wasn't the only catch. Swann kept doing it, toe-dragging sideline grabs, body-contorting leaps over defenders, catches that looked more like choreography than football. He finished with just 4 receptions, but 161 yards. He didn't just catch passes. He created moments. For the first time in NFL history, a wide receiver, not a quarterback, not a running back, was named Super Bowl MVP. Not because of stats, but because of impact, because of magic. That night, Lynn Swann didn't just help win a Super Bowl. He changed what football could look like. And after the game, when reporters asked Terry Bradshaw how Swann made those catches, he just smiled and said, "Sometimes you don't explain it. You just watch." This was the moment when the too small, too soft, too pretty receiver became a Steel legend. Becoming a legend, from receiver to icon. After Super Bowl 10, Lynn Swann was no longer just a talented receiver. He had become a symbol of elegance, grace, and impossible catches in a brutal sport. But the question was it a one-time show? Or was he truly different? Over the next few years, Swann answered that question louder than ever. Between 1976 and 1979, he became one of the most dangerous deep threats in the NFL. He didn't catch as many passes as some others, but he made every catch count. In an era when receivers were hammered at the line and hit hard on every play, Swann stood tall. He ran flawless routes. He timed his jumps perfectly. He made catches that defied physics. He wasn't just reliable. He was unforgettable. Super Bowl 13, the proving ground. January 21st, 1979. Steelers versus Cowboys. A rematch on the biggest stage. Dallas wanted revenge. Their defense was stronger, smarter, and determined to shut down Swann. But when the lights were brightest, Lynn Swann turned into something else. He made clutch catches down the sideline, absorbing brutal hits, getting back up. He caught a crucial touchdown that shifted momentum in Pittsburgh's favor. He didn't have the highlight reel moment from Super Bowl X, but he showed something even more important. He wasn't just a showman. He was a champion. Super Bowl XIV, the final chapter. January 20th, 1980. Pittsburgh versus Los Angeles Rams. The Steelers were trailing. Terry Bradshaw took a shot deep downfield. Swann soared over two defenders, hung in the air like he was suspended in time, and hauled in a 47-yard touchdown that brought the Steelers back to life. One commentator said, "He didn't jump. He floated." That catch helped win the Steelers their fourth Super Bowl and cemented Swann as one of the greatest playoff receivers of all time. What made him special? Lynn Swann didn't have the most yards. He didn't have the most touchdowns. He didn't have size or speed like modern-day receivers. What he had was timing, grace, and impact. 3 Pro Bowls, 3 Super Bowl touchdowns, 4 Super Bowl rings, 1 Super Bowl MVP. But numbers don't tell his story. Legacy does. He was the receiver who made football beautiful, the player who made the nation fall in love with the artistry of the game. Life after football, legacy beyond the field. When Lynn Swann retired in 1983, he didn't just walk away from football. He stepped into something bigger. He didn't have the biggest career numbers, but he had something more powerful. A legacy of elegance, intelligence, and impact. And unlike many players who faded after retirement, Swann's journey was just beginning. From athlete to ambassador. Even during his playing career, Swann wasn't just focused on football. He studied political science, trained in broadcasting, and even worked with ABC Sports during off-seasons. So when he hung up his cleats, he didn't struggle to find purpose. He simply switched arenas. Broadcasting. He became a respected sports analyst on ABC, hosting Wide World of Sports and NFL coverage. He explained the game with the same clarity and grace he once played it with. Entrepreneurship and corporate leadership. Swann joined several major corporate boards, including H.J. Heinz and Hershey, proving he wasn't just a football mind. He was a business mind. Education and mentorship. He became involved in youth programs, promoting discipline, leadership, and education, the same values that shaped his own success. The Pennsylvania legacy and beyond. In 2006, Lynn Swann did something almost no NFL player had ever done. He ran for governor of Pennsylvania. And while he didn't win, that moment symbolized something powerful. He was more than an athlete. He was a leader. He became a face of class, dignity, and intelligence. A true ambassador of the game. Hall of Fame induction. In 2001, Lynn Swann was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And during his speech, he didn't talk about fame, trophies, or statistics. He talked about opportunity, discipline, humility, and grace. He thanked his coaches, his teammates, and especially Chuck Noll for demanding he become not just a great player, but a great man. His legacy today. Lynn Swann didn't try to be the biggest. He didn't try to be the strongest. He proved something more powerful. Sometimes, the greatest players aren't the loudest. They're the ones who change the game quietly. He made football beautiful. He made wide receivers artists. He showed that greatness isn't only measured in size and stats, but in impact, grace, and unforgettable moments. And whenever a receiver leaps into the air, twisting mid-fall to make a catch that shouldn't be possible, they're living in Lynn Swann's shadow, whether they know it or not. Greatness isn't always loud. Sometimes, it moves across a field with grace. Sometimes, it floats above defenders and lands with history in its hands. Lynn Swann didn't just play football. He changed it. He proved that heart, elegance, and determination could rewrite what a wide receiver was meant to be. And even today, every highlight reel catch, every ballet-like sideline grab, still carries a touch of his legacy. Because legends aren't just remembered for what they did. They're remembered for how they made us feel. If stories like this inspire you, if you believe legends like Lynn Swann should never be forgotten, then join the legacy. Like, share, and subscribe to Black and Gold Legacy, where we bring back the untold stories, the emotional journeys, and the legends who shaped football history. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter in Steelers history, because here, legends live forever.